Hey everybody, Jane here, and we are going to start our September Buzzwordathon. If you are not familiar with Buzzwordathon, I have a whole playlist of Buzzwordathon reading vlogs, and I will also link in the description below Books and Lala's Buzzwordathon challenge announcement. Basically, Kayla, who is Books and Lala, gives a title-related prompt and a cover-related prompt, and people participating read books with those prompts. I am currently trying to get through my TBR, my ginormous TBR, and want to read as many books as I can, and I'm using Buzzwordathon as kind of a prompt throughout the month to pick the books I'm reading. It has been some months have been really successful and some months have not. So I don't know how this month's gonna go. It has been a crazy busy life, but I'm hopeful, so we'll see. This month's prompts are, the title is an event. So a title that has something like a wedding, a funeral, a vacation, anything like that. I will tell you, we are probably going to be very generous of what we're going to consider an event or not an event. I know one of the books I'm looking at has the title or has the word book club in it, and I don't know if a book club is really an event, but it's enough of an event that if we get to that book, I'm going to count it. So there may be ones that you go, is that really an event? It is for us today. And then the cover, and I think this is going to be really good because there are lots and lots of books on my shelf with this cover, so it gives me a lot of choices, and that cover is foliage. So anything, or flora, foliage, I don't know, it's gonna be flowers and cactus and leaves and any of that kind of stuff. I have started my first book for this reading vlog, and it is The Incredible Kindness of Paper. I did receive this from a Goodreads giveaway, and it is an ARC. Although it is already out, it was released in August. I am 40 pages in, and I will tell you, so far, I am not loving it. I'm not at a place where I'm ready to DNF it yet, but it's definitely not really hitting me yet. So I'm going to keep trying, but I don't know. I think I have an issue with it being a little bit sugary sweet, maybe. So what is it about? Let's start there. So this is a magical realism book. We start out with Chloe, and when Chloe was a kid in school, she wrote these little notes and folded them up. She had a pen pal, and the pen pal, she would talk to his letters before sending them to him, and he could, I think, hear the letter. She's an adult now, and she is putting notes into these origami creatures that she folds. She had been a guidance counselor and was doing that for her students to kind of give them like a good day. And unfortunately, she was a guidance counselor, and unfortunately she was let go from her job. She was made redundant. And so now she has decided that she's going to like send these messages in these little origamis all around town. So she's folding these little origamis, writing little notes, inspiration in them, and just putting them all over town for people to find. And there is a magical element because people are finding, or like this, she realized people were coming across these origami things, and it was what they needed to hear. She'd seen several instances of it where she accidentally lost an origami thing, and then she overheard like it changed somebody's life. So she's now dedicated her life to doing this. At the same time, we have Oliver, and Oliver is the pen pal that she was writing to when they were kids. And I don't know a lot about him. We do have his perspective a little bit. He and her were besties, not just pen pals. Like, they became besties. They met in person. They were absolutely each other's favorite people, really closely bonded, best friends. I don't know. It sounds like they were romantic, but I don't know like how romantic they got. But they had a terrible friendship breakup. I don't know all the details about it. They've just run into each other not too long ago in the book, and he recognized her, but she didn't recognize him, and he was actually kind of a dick to her, just being honest. She is also dating a guy whose name is Zach, and he's a little bit weird, kind of some vibes going on. So I assume that this is going to be a little bit of a second chance romance, a little bit of Chloe figuring out what she's going to do now with her life, since, you know, obviously she's got to find a new job, and she's kind of at a bit of a crossroads. I think I'm having a couple issues with the story. The first is I feel like we're being fed a lot of backstory, and I would have liked to see some of the backstory, I think, in real time. And we are to a point, but there is so much backstory between these characters, and so much of it is just being told to me, and I would have really liked to maybe see it, and maybe that will happen. There are definitely some flashback chapters, but I think I could have handled this unfolding a little more slowly. It's a very quick book, and I'm not having the time yet to get emotionally invested. And the other issue I'm having with that is because it's kind of an unbelievable, again, a magical realism, a kind of unbelievable story, and it's very sugary sweet. Even the plot is very sugary sweet. Like, she's writing these little origamis, and it's just what people need to hear, and, you know, it changes people's lives. It's a little bit too sugary sweet for me, and then to not be invested in the characters, and to not really fully grasp, or, I mean, I know what the plot is. I mean, I sort of know what the plot is. I'm just not super invested in it yet, and I'm not sure if we're gonna get there. There have definitely been moments where I was kind of eye rolling, like, it's not terrible. And maybe if you really need a solid, pick-me-up, lovely type story, this would really do it for you. It's not necessarily doing it for me yet. It could, and maybe we'll get there, but right now I am kind of neutral about it. I don't hate it, but I am not like eager to continue reading it, other than maybe to find out where things go from here. But I would like it to be a little bit less sugary sweet. I would like to have more of the past in flashbacks as opposed to being told about it. And I would like to feel more of an understanding for these characters. And so far, those are kind of the things that are just not working for me as well as I'd like them to. But I am going to continue at least for a while, and we will see what happens and where we go from the story. I will check in either when I have an update on this book or if I start another book. If you are new to these blogs, I sometimes do have multiple books I'm reading at a time, usually in different media. So I might be doing one on my Kindle, and I might be doing one via audio and one via paperback. So we'll just kind of see how that goes. And we might not. We just might do all paperback this time, or, well, not all audio because I have started a paperback, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so I may check in with multiple books. I may check in with just this book, but I will be back shortly with a check-in. I am going to update you on the kindness of paper. So this book is still most likely going to be a DNF. I was so ready to DNF it, and then I was on my lunch break reading it, and you know how you're like reading a book and you're like, I hate this, I'm going to DNF it, and then you're like, well, I'll at least read until I'm done with my break, and then I'll DNF and be done. Well, of course, at the end of where I was, something interesting was happening, so I'm going to at least finish the chapter I'm on, but I don't think I can do anymore. But I am curious what's going to happen in this chapter, and maybe it'll pull me back in. but I just honestly don't see this being a book I'm going to finish. And it was really, really irritating me. So I'm going to give you a little bit of spoilers and tell you a little bit about what's going on in the book so that you have an idea of why I feel this way, okay? All right. So Chloe, the girl who has, I thought, magic powers, apparently not. I'll tell you why in a second. She's at the park, and one of the people that gets her little note is this elderly woman who is going deaf. And the note convinces her that it's not a big deal to be going deaf, which I don't know, dude. I know it's supposed to be sweet and uplifting and Pollyanna, but that felt a little ableist and icky to me personally. So she gets this paper and it says like there's something like there's serenity in silence. And the woman's like, yes, there's a lot less distractions in my world now that I'm going deaf. And it made me so mad and it felt so icky. And I was like, oh my goodness, no. Well, then the elderly woman and her sister decide that they are going to join Chloe in making these magical origami things and hand them out. And like, so apparently Chloe's not magic. Anybody who makes these little origami things and hands them out or hides them or whatever it is, it just magically, they find a person. It's basically they're handing out fortune cookies. And it's changing people's lives because somehow, for some reason, the fortune cookie goes to just the right person. Which, I don't know why. There's no indication. At first I thought Chloe was magic because she's talking to notes. And so it made sense that she has some kind of magic. But now that these other two people are joining her and apparently having a good connection to the paper and still the messaging's getting there, like, I don't know. I don't know. So anyway, all that said and done, so Chloe now is having these two elderly ladies help her make these little origami papers that she's passing out, and they give the messages to people who need them, and it's changing everybody's life, including like this park ranger guy who's all like, you can't have your little setup here to pass out these papers. And then he gets this one that's like, he's a volunteer and it's something about the little things you do make a difference or something like that. And he's all like, yes, they're just trying to make a difference just like I am as a volunteer. And so I'm going to let them do their origami flowers here. It's so frustrating. I'm just like, why does it work like this? What magic is this? Why are we doing this? And is this just like feel good after feel good regurgitation story? Maybe. So then the thing that actually I was interested in, and I'm going to read a little bit more of only because the only part of the story I actually care about at all is Oliver and Chloe. So we had like another little flashback to Oliver and Chloe being besties when they were kids and like a little birthday party she had. And then flash forward to she runs into him again at a cafe and he again recognizes her and she doesn't seem to recognize him as Oliver, who she grew up with, but she recognizes him from their last encounter and she's all like, you should buy me coffee. And he's like, I should run away, but I think I'll buy her a coffee. So like, I'm going to finish the chapter just to see how this coffee thing goes because they are the only part of the book I actually care about and that is not sickeningly sweet. But I'm pretty sure that after I finish this chapter, especially if we go back to the stupid origami stuff, I am going to be done with this book. It is just too sweet for me. It is too Pollyanna. It is too sunshine. And maybe this is a wrong time, wrong place. There's no sense in the magic as far as I can tell. And the only part I'm really invested in is Chloe and Oliver. I think this book, if you just want a really feel-good, uplifting book, if that's what you're looking for, this might really work for you. Because it is like, oh, I found this piece of paper that gave me exactly the message I needed. And that's what the book is about. Everybody just finding the paper, even if it's kind of ableist, even if it's to convince you that it's fine that you're going deaf. There's a lot less distractions in the world now that you're going deaf, but it's fine. You'll be happier because it's less distraction. Just like, I can't. I am so frustrated with this stupid book. But I am going to finish out this chapter because I do want to see what happens with Chloe and Oliver. I expect I will DNF after this chapter. I might push through a tiny bit more if this chapter ends really well, or if I get more invested in Chloe and Oliver. but this book is driving me crazy right now. And I have so many other books I really want to read that I cannot understand why I'm spending time. I don't want to DNF it too early. I know that's the problem. Like, I want to like it and I want to give it a chance. And it's just interesting enough because I want to care about Chloe and Oliver that I kind of am like, oh, I hate everything else, but I want to see what happens with Chloe and Oliver. But I don't know if I care enough to read the whole stinking book when there's other books that I could be reading for this vlog. So I am in a fiery spirit today, apparently. So I am going to go and finish the chapter, and then I will probably start a completely different book later today because I just don't think I'm going to finish this. But who knows? Things could go crazy and it could pick up and I could decide I love it. I don't think that's likely. But it's always possible. Anything is possible, my friends. All right, I will see you at my next check-in. Hi friends, Jane here. Wanted to give you an update on my reading. So I've started 2 new books, one for the foliage prompt and one for the event prompt. The foliage prompt, I am doing Adrift. It is a thriller. I think it's supposed to be a thriller. I'm not super far in, but basically what we have in the very first chapter, we have a guy who has murdered his parents because he's a psycho. And then we're years later and he is married to a woman and he has a child, but he seems like he is a dangerous guy. And I'm not entirely sure where we're going with this other than he's not treating the woman or child very well, and I assume that he's going to terrorize them. I don't hate it, but I don't love it yet either. I'm hoping there's something more twisty than what we have so far, because him just being, I'm terrible and I'm going to be terrible to my wife and kid, and I've already proven that I am a horrible person. It's just not really exciting. So I'm hoping that more comes up, but that is kind of the setup we have so far. The second book, the book for the event, is I have Halloween Party, which is a Agatha Christie Poirot. I am about 20% in it. I'm listening to that one on audio. And in this one, we have these teenagers were at a Halloween party, and one of them admitted that she had seen a murder. Well, then she is suddenly found dead in the apple dunking tank, and Poirot is asked by his friend, who is a mystery writer, to please come and help investigate. So far, I am enjoying it. I will tell you, my brother had read it, and it was one that he really didn't like. So it'll be interesting to see what my take on it is, because my brother and I often have very different tastes, but sometimes they overlap. So it'll be like, okay, is this one that he hated and I think is great? Or will it be one that we're both mutually like, nah, not a very good Christie? So yeah, so that is where my reading is so far. We are about midway through the month, so it hasn't been an amazing reading month, but at least we're making progress, and I expect to get both of these books done sometime in the month. All right, I will check back with you when I have more books read. I finished Halloween Party, and I'm going to give it a 3-star, because I'm not sure if it's just brilliant and over my head, or if it's a bit of a hot mess. I don't think it's as much of a hot mess as Blue Train, and I liked it better than Big Four. And I don't necessarily think it was bad. I even like it better than Appointment with Death, which was my most recent Poirot read. But the resolution was very strange. And there was a lot to it. I think maybe if I reread the whole thing, knowing what the ending was and what the resolution was, I would have enjoyed getting there. But it was just kind of weird, and it felt a little bit out of left field. Overall, I did enjoy it. There was a lot of clues. There was a little bit more navel gazing than I would have preferred, but like by the end, I understood that some of it was necessary. Yeah, just kind of mixed feelings. This is not a bad one, but I didn't love it. I didn't connect with it. I didn't go, oh, this is really brilliant. I do think it's heavy as far as like, it's a little bit unusual for a Christie, I would say too. Yeah, I think that's fair. It's a little unusual for a Christie, at least the ones I've read, that it has minors dying. 2 children die in this book. So you've been warned. One is a teenager and one is a not teenager. One is younger than a teenager. So just be aware that there is child death in this book. But it was interesting. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it at a 3-star because I'm not sure if I'm the problem. Because it, like, Poirot explains all the clues, he brings it together, and I'm like, okay, but it just seemed a little bit convoluted, and I'm not sure that the clues that he found a normal person could have pieced together, but maybe. And yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. That's what we're gonna go with. Interesting. Hi friends, I know this is not our normal video update time, but I am actually currently free roaming the rats, and so I thought I would talk to you just briefly about Adrift. So I am about 80 pages into Adrift, and I am going to DNF it. I made that decision. It was a hard decision to come by because the book wasn't doing anything wrong. I didn't dislike the book. It just wasn't gripping me, and I wasn't feeling compelled forward, and I was kind of bored. So I ended up flipping through to kind of the back to see a little bit about like what happened. And afterwards I'm like, yeah, I don't think I need to go on this journey. So basically, I think the problem I had with Adrift is that it is too straightforward. It is a guy gaslighting and abusing his family. And that is exactly what it has been since page 1. Is a guy gaslighting and abusing his family. And it hasn't been vague. It has been very clear and very upfront that that is what is happening. And I assume that the gaslighting and abuse is just going to get worse and worse until it comes to a head and things have to be dealt with. And the thing is, like, that's just not interesting to me. It's not nuanced enough. I wanted it to be more of like The Shining, maybe, where you have a guy slowly losing his crap and slowly going from a halfway decent or understandable guy to somebody who is not. You know, I didn't necessarily want to know up front that this guy was the bad guy, or maybe I wanted the wife to put up more of a fight or to know why she was with him. But it just basically from page 1 was abuse and abuse and abuse. And I was like, I don't want to. So yeah, DNFing. I will, however, give you a few rat clips because that's worth having.
Pictures and patterns poured into words that stream across the page, capturing life as soft-spoken lyric, which screams to be heard. The whisper of a melody spoken by my strings that sing forevermore. The colors and shadow, darkness and light, meaning and virtue, hardships and strife. Here's one, sees them for what they are. He is the poet behind my guitar. A dark sunken face, imprisoned in its frame, who pleads for right up, taken to his bed with the voices.
Hi friends, we are again checking in and again doing so during rat roaming time. So I did start a new book. It is called After the Funeral. And so I have an event, but I also have a lot of greenery on the cover. So I think we're going to use this as a double since I have like DNF'd the other foliage book. This is another Hercule Poirot, and it actually is pretty similar in premise to the last book in some ways. So we have a man who has died, and his family is gathering to memorialize him, read his will, etc. And his niece, Cora, goes, he was murdered, right? I mean, do we know what happened to him? And everybody's like, no, he wasn't murdered. What would you give you that idea? And she's like, well, just something he said. And then Cora ends up murdered. And so then you have the question of, okay, was she murdered because, of the things that her uncle had said leading up to, his death that made her suspicious of the deaths? Or is she killed for some completely different reason? And we don't yet know the answer to that. I am about halfway through. It's fine. Poirot hasn't really made an appearance yet. I think like one person has rung him up and been like, hey, Poirot, this weird thing's happening. Could I run this by you? But he hasn't like actually come to investigate anything yet. It's just been like family members talking about them around themselves, kind of an introduction to the different characters and the different family members, particularly people who had anything to gain by Cora's death or by the will. You have one guy who is like an invalid. You have a girl who married poorly, like she married an actor and they need the money. I don't remember who the other relatives are, but you have these different characters in the family who really would have liked the money from the will. Instead, the money is split up. And then, of course, like I said, there is the question of was he murdered potentially for this money, potentially by somebody who wasn't aware that they were not inheriting everything. So it is a lot like Halloween Party in that we have somebody who's like, oh, I suspect murder, and is murdered. So yes, so that will be, I think, my last read for the month. I did start another book, and I will probably just read it on the side because we're pretty close to the end of the month, and I don't think I'm going to get finished with the other book that I started. So I will tell you about that one in the wrap up probably next month because I doubt I will finish it this month. But I do think in the couple days we have left of September that I can get this book done, especially since I'm halfway through and currently free roaming rat. So I'm going to pop on my audiobook and listen to that while my boys play. All right, guys, I just wanted to update you. I'll talk to you in a bit. Bye. I finished After the Funeral and I ended up enjoying it, but not loving it. I think I'm going to give it a 4-star. So here's the thing. It was really engaging throughout, which some of the Poirots recently have not been. So I'm glad that I was like engaged and wanting to know what was happening. The ending worked. It just used a twist or a trope that I really get tired of seeing in cozy mysteries. Now, I will allow that because of certain things in the book, we kind of knew that this twist or trope was a possibility. So I'm going to like give Agatha Christie a little bit of a break for that. It's fine. It's not a trope I like, and it's a trope that even though I feel like we were warned it was possible due to like other circumstances in the book, it didn't pan out the way I'd hoped it would or expected it to. And I was kind of like, So, so After the Funeral. So that is our buzzwords for September. Please join me again in October when we do this all again. This has been Jane. Please like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Pictures and patterns poured into words that stream across the page.